Hey, what's up, you guys? We're already back. We've had an incredible week of playoff basketball. It's time to break it down. Run It Back is here for you. I'm Suli McCullough with my co-host, Dan Ratner. Let's get this party started.
Good to see you, Suli. I'm so excited, and I did get to watch some playoff basketball. We're going to get to that soon, but first we're going to go straight to your jersey, which relates to playoff basketball. That was the game I watched.
Oh, that's great. See, the jersey that I'm wearing this week, of course, I'm going with a number 2 Kawhi Leonard Clippers jersey. As you know, I'm a huge Clipper fan, and there's a story behind this jersey. This jersey got some actual Staples Center use.
I'm very, very excited to hear that. Now, I won't take much time on my shirt because my shirt is just not as interesting as it usually is. I'm just wearing a nice
little LeBron classic Cavaliers dry fit Nike shirt, and that's a good one. That's a nice one. I like that C. It's the what is it? The flaming C?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. When they first wore these, I joked that I was like, oh my God, we came out to try to win the championship in our pajamas.
Yes.
But then we did, and now I love this shirt.
Yes.
And meanwhile, I've got Jim Brown, Michael Jordan.
I see that. Yes.
And LeBron. So I got some
you got some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
You got some heavy hitters. I like it. Great week of playoff basketball, and what I love about the East and West Conference semifinals is we get to really break down these games. We get to get into the minutia of it. But let's just start with the biggest announcement this week. The MVP of the league was announced. So we have to start there for prime cuts. We really have to. This is the primiest of all prime cuts.
It is. I mean, people talk about it as just an award, but it's a big deal.
Because it's kind of a statement of what the year's been. This is the post-bubble shortened season, and this player that won the MVP award actually played all 72 games, which you really can't say that for MVPs. I am, of course, talking about the Joker. Nikola Jokic was the league MVP this year, the Kia MVP for the 2021 season, and I think well-deserved. He played a great, he was fun to watch this year. If you haven't really paid attention to the Joker, you really should watch his game because he's got that kind of like old guy at the Y game that used to be a baller. You know what I mean? Where you're like, at first you're like, I shouldn't pick that guy, but I'm going to trust my instincts. He's tall. He's here early. He wears the same T-shirt every time.
Yep.
He's that guy. Jokic is that guy. Jokic is the pro version of every guy that you thankfully picked up at the Y.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wearing a knee brace, so he's a little harder to recognize.
Yes.
But let's talk about the stats. I mean, 26.4 points. These are the averages. 26.4 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 8.3 assists while shooting 56.6% from the floor. And he led his team in all 4 categories.
Yes.
I mean,
and they finished. They clearly finished well in the season. It came down to him and Joel Embiid. There was a time where I thought Joel Embiid was going to get over the hump. He got hurt. Like everybody that he beat out, injuries were a real issue. James Harden was a candidate. Chris Paul was a late candidate. I don't think he really got his props like he probably should have. But I am totally okay with this. I think my personal MVP would have probably been Steph Curry just in terms of excitement and the games that I watched and the fact that I loved it at the very beginning of the season. They counted Steph out. They clearly forgot this dude's accolades. So that would have been my choice just as, hey, this is Suli's MVP for just, a player that's made me happy, but I have no problem with Jokic. And I think what's interesting about this too is having a MVP of international descent that represents international basketball is good for the NBA.
I think it is, and not only that, he's of international descent, but he's also the lowest draft pick in NBA history to win this award. He was picked with the 41st pick in the 2014 draft. And this is important. This is a league where everybody talks about, listen, if you don't have one of the top 3 picks, you're not going to make it big.
Right.
He was picked 41st.
Right.
Then on the other side of the conference ball is the Greek Freak. He wasn't picked in the top 3 either. Not even close.
Right.
Kawhi Leonard. Where did Kawhi Leonard go?
Right.
I mean, conventional wisdom is you need one of those top 3 picks, and that's actually not true.
No.
It makes it easier. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. And it's also like, I do like the fact that you can grow into the game. You know what I mean? Like, we want these polished products, or we want to take this risk on youth, and sometimes that doesn't pan out. I like when somebody comes into the league, maybe as a lower pick, and then they become something bigger than that. Those kind of stories are always the most fun to me, because it's somebody seizing their opportunity and making the most of it.
And it's kind of a run it back kind of story, because we like the underdog. We like the story that other people aren't talking about.
Yes.
Now you made reference to the international aspect. I just want to talk about that. Jokic is the 6th player born outside the 50 United States to win the NBA MVP. This is Giannis from Greece.
Yes.
Hakeem the Dream. Olajuwon from Nigeria.
Love Hakeem. Now, I know that's one of your favorite players. I know
love
that.
Hakeem.
Yes.
Now, people don't often think about this. Steve Nash.
Canadian,
and he had some time in South Africa too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. I know he went to Santa Clara.
I know,
which
everybody
is very
just thinks
close to
he's
where
just
I grew
Canadian.
up. Yes.
But, he's one of 2 players who with some African certainly there's African roots and a lot of MVP.
Sure.
But these people actually Olajuwon was in Nigeria. Tim Duncan, Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Dirk Nowitzki, West Germany.
Yeah.
When there was a West Germany.
Well, I have a question for you. Now that we know Steve Nash comes from South African descent, does that mean that he's adjacent to being a black coach?
He's got a little more street cred. It's like I taught at Compton. I've got a little street cred, but I'm still very white, as we know. So I wonder, is the big man back in the NBA? Like, to have a big man win the MVP award, and then we're going to get into the Suns Nuggets game 1 recap. We got to get into that.
Right. I think that I think it's good for basketball. You know what I mean? Like, the game is more now that we've changed the rules and everything is offensively minded. I do think it is important. We have moved away from, we want these guys that can do everything. You know what I mean? But it is kind of nice that a big man is the MVP. There's something about it that I think is really cool. It feels a little throwback-ish, and this dude, make no mistakes, is an incredible passer, can knock down the 3, can go in the blocks and get a bucket. He can really do a lot of things.
Yeah, and I imagine if Hakeem Olajuwon had been able to hit threes.
That would have been unreal. That would have been unreal.
But I like the big man is getting some play here. So let's go to game 1 and game 2 of Suns and Nuggets.
Yes.
What are we seeing? What are we seeing in here? What did you see in this series so far?
Well, if I could sum it up in one sentence, I would say it was too much Chris Paul. Chris Paul was, he was incredible, man. Like, he really was incredible. It seems like his influence on the game, it reminds me of Magic Johnson in a lot of ways. Like, he is a compact, commercial-doing Magic Johnson.
Right. It's true.
I mean, the dude has such a command on the game, and he went through injuries. Like, he took that bump that kind of deaded his shoulders, and he was turning the ball over early. This series has been really interesting because you cannot deny the impact that Chris Paul is making. Like, he is really, really, really putting his stamp on this series and making people that haven't paid attention to him realize he truly is the point god.
Absolutely. And, they're dominating the Nuggets right now.
Yes, they really are. And the last game, I don't know if you really caught this, but they looked defeated. They looked defeated. The Nuggets looked defeated, like, collectively. And, because they just didn't have any answers. And for somebody like, I feel like the keys to the Nuggets getting back in the series, Michael Porter Jr. is somebody that, I look to him, and because he's such a dynamic scorer, he's a key for them getting back in this series, but he was dejected. Like, there was one play where he had to guard Chris Paul, and it was ugly. Like, it was really ugly. He put a hurting on him. Like, Chris Paul is abusing these guys so much, it's kind of making me like the Allstate commercials again, okay? Like,
Right.
And the Allstate commercials are a joke, all right? Chris Paul is so confused, he doesn't even know that the commercial is happening. Like, he's that removed.
Yeah, no, it's like he has dementia or something.
Yes, absolutely. This new one where he turns into a basketball, technically it should be 2 basketballs because he was holding a basketball, but that's just me being logical about a commercial. So,
No wonder he's so confused, though, the things that are going on there.
Yeah.
But listen, you know that I like to talk about the mind, the mental part of the game.
Yes,
I mean, I'm a therapist. So, and it's one thing I just love about the NBA is how much of this game is mental. When I would watch Jordan, he would dominate people mentally.
Yes.
That was the main way that he dominated physically too, but mentally he would just annihilate people.
Right.
And I think that's what we're seeing in Chris Paul. I think, and it's amazing to see at this stage in his career, he's almost better. He's better at that now, and Jordan got better at it.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that is the mental aspect of the game too. Is like you learn how to efficiently use what you have to your fullest capabilities if you are a true veteran in every sense of the word. And Chris Paul really is. Like, I'm so happy for him that he's getting to shine in the playoffs because, too often part of his history was his body would break down in these key moments where you needed him the most. And you knew he was good, and you knew he was a leader, and you knew he was deserving of where he was, but it would all just sort of fall apart. And it was frustrating. And we saw glimpses of that in the early parts of this series. But it looks like he's been able to weather the storm, make incredible contribution. I mean, his game 2 stats, he had 17 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers. And that was a rout. I mean, that game was 123-98. And then what I also loved is, like, in Chris Paul fashion, he really built up his teammates in the post game. You know what I mean? He was like, look, Devin Booker scores in his sleep. Ja is never fazed by anything. Mikal Bridges is like our unsung hero, and he truly has been. Like, Mikal Bridges looks like he was a video game player that has been juiced up for this series. Like, this dude is everywhere you need him to be. He's got hops. He's got energy. It's really, really impressive. I like what the Suns are doing. People had them as they were a 2 seed, but I think they were a 2 seed that people disrespected, and they're showing that they are a 2 seed that is a force to be reckoned with in the West.
Yeah, they now have convinced me they are capable of winning the championship. And so are the Jazz, by the way. We're going to get to that in a second.
I think health is clearly a factor, but the center, the Suns center hasn't broke down like I thought he would at this time, and he just looks really strong and is like, these guys are playing their role.
Yep.
They're playing their role. I have the Suns are fine right now.
All right, let's go to Utah versus the Clippers. The Clippers were my pick to win the NBA championship, and I will tell you, it is not looking good. The Clippers are down 2-0, and even on Run It Back, where we try to give teams like the Jazz much more respect than they get other places, and I think we do a good job with that. I watched them, and I was like, even I underestimated them. Jesus Christ, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I watched the series prior to this, before Donovan Mitchell was playing, and when Mike Conley was running the show. And Mike Conley is one of those forgotten guys. He's been a max money guy for a while, but his game was really solid. And then as he sort of goes down and you inject Donovan Mitchell into their offense, they already have a strong offensive identity, and inserting him into the offense was like, oh, wow, now we're really in trouble. I mean, game 1, Donovan Mitchell went for 45. He was unguardable. No matter who they put on him, it was advantage Donovan Mitchell. Not only that, he had part owner D. Wade coaching him up on the side. I was like, this is cheating. This
That's
is
unfair.
cheating.
It's
This
tampering.
is unfair. This is you've got D Wade, an NBA star and co-owner, like, and fellow great two guard, giving you inside instruction, like, Jedi knighting Donovan Mitchell to even further excellence. And Donovan Mitchell that dude looks like a bear cub, okay? He looks like a ferocious bear cub in the way that he gets to the racks. It's like, oh, who's got the bear cub? Oh, he just scored again. Like, that dude he's incredible. He is really incredible. And he's dominated both of these games.
And I don't know if this is a weird comparison or not, but I'm just going to say it. To me, he's got a little Charles Barkley in him. Like,
yes.
There's something about his physicality and the way that he plays that it reminds me of that. But it's not a great comparison, but there's something in it there.
I get what you're saying. He has that, get out of the way kind of thing about him. Like, he will grab the rebound, he will bring it up himself, he'll break down the defense and split the defense and get right to the rack. Charles was always good about getting the and one and the contact. And it's like, look, I'm going to take you three guys with me, but I'm getting the bucket. And I do get that. Like, he is for an undersized two guard, he plays like a bigger two guard shrunk into his body. Like, literally. That's how this dude plays.
They both play, they play taller than they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that was the thing I was thinking.
It's that squatty body mentality that bodes very well in the NBA. I will say this on the Clippers' defense. Reggie Jackson has played above and beyond. He was spectacular in game 2. I mean, he scored 29 points, hit some clutch three-pointers. At one point, Reggie Jackson was so good, he caused Donovan Mitchell to kick a chair in timeouts. Like, this dude took his frustration out on a chair. And so that's one shining light about the Clippers. But, I mean, if we're going to keep it real about the Clippers, and we most certainly should since I'm rocking the jersey and it is my team, we're not getting enough production out of Paul George. I feel like Kawhi's having to do a little bit too much, like these past 2 games especially. They're running the offense through him. He's bringing the ball up. He's initiating the offense. And he's played great. But I can see a little bit of fatigue, and now it's time more than ever for Paul George to step up.
Now, let me just say one thing. The fact we've spent a lot of time on the West, and there's a reason. The West is very compelling. I find the West much more compelling than the East in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears to get to the East, but I do want to note, last week we wanted to talk about this. Mark Eaton, 7'4" shot blocking king, who twice was the NBA Defensive Player of the Year with the Utah Jazz, died last week at the age of 64. It was in a biking accident. This is the second former NBA center to be involved in an accident while on a bike.
Yes.
And we just want to note that. It feels appropriate to highlight with the Jazz being so front and center here, and losing Mark Eaton was a tough blow.
Yeah, I mean, he's, a early legend of the NBA, a tough-minded 80s player. Everybody from within the Jazz organization to even his ties to UCLA have nothing but great things to say about Mark Eaton. For being such a big dude, he was one of those gentle giants. And this is it's a sad loss. It's a sad loss because you could tell just by the outpouring of support from the Jazz community that he really meant a lot to that organization. He mentored a lot of people coming up. You really couldn't find anybody that said anything bad about Mark Eaton. So it's a terrible loss, and it's really kind of tragic that this is the second biking accident that has taken out a center and a member of the NBA family.
Yeah. So our condolences.
Yeah, we definitely want to send our thoughts and prayers to Mark Eaton and his family,
and the Jazz community.
Yes, absolutely,
because they understand his worth.
I thought that they really did a great job highlighting the contribution that he made to the Jazz and to basketball in general. Like, he really did seem like a thoughtful, caring person that happened to be tall and gifted at basketball.
All right, on to happier things. The Eastern Conference, you said the Nets Bucks, that the winner of this series was going to win the NBA championship. I keep dissing the Nets. I think it's just listen, I'll admit it. I'm being a hater.
Yes.
I am. I can't help it. Who is rooting for the Nets? Is anyone rooting for the Nets outside of Brooklyn?
And it's so weird, and I'm right there with you. Like, I'm a huge KD fan. I like Kyrie. I like the fact that he's eccentric. James Harden is a super fun player to watch. But when you mix them all together and put it on a team, part of me is a little distant, and I don't know why that is. Like, I really do. The easy money sniper that lives in me loves Kevin Durant. I mean, I really do. There's something about his surliness. I love the way that he answers questions. Like, a reporter asked him the other day, they said, when you broke your Achilles, did you really think you would ever get back to this level of playing? And Kevin was offended by it. Like, he literally was like, is that your question? And I just thought that's hilarious. Like, you're not even going to indulge the man in what he's trying to do. But this series, I was so excited for it. The Bucks went down 0-2 quickly. There were thoughts of them being swept. Luckily, Game 3, Chris Middleton saved the day. I'm just going to call it for as it is. You know what I mean? Like, he finished with 35 points. Giannis had 33. Now the series is 2-1. There's a little bit of hope, but I still feel like it's advantage Nets. And that troubles me a little bit because I do like Milwaukee. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I've really thought about this. Maybe it's the, Giannis is like kind of the Will Smith of the NBA. You know what I mean? Like, he's a nice guy and he tries hard and he's forthright. And, I like the point guard edition. I like PJ Tucker. I really like the Milwaukee Bucks. I just like them. You know what I mean? I want them, Giannis is the 2-time MVP and we still question his game. So I want him to succeed. I just don't know if this series is going to be what we need it to be.
I agree with you. I think it's going to end up being a disappointment. And one of the reasons is that in the NBA, it is often about people breaking through on their belief level, and I just don't think Giannis is there.
Yes,
I don't think he's there yet, and I don't think it's going to be an easy task to do it with Durant on the other side of the ball.
Right.
Especially with Kyrie Irving there. And if James Harden was in there, it would be even harder. Actually,
absolutely.
There's some ways in which it might be easier because Harden hogs the ball. And actually, if there's somebody who's not so strong-minded on the Nets, it is James Harden. And I rag on him all the time about this, but it's because I expect better from him. If he's going to be what he's saying he is, then he's got to get out there and have a stronger mind. And look, I think the Greek Freak needs to do this too, but he's so likable. You just you're rooting for him. I just don't think they can do it.
Before they were able to eke out this win, Charles Barkley summed up the Bucks Game 2 and Game 1 lackluster performance by saying, I saw panic in their eyes. And I thought that was a brilliant observation from somebody that has been there and seen that. And when you see panic in your opponent's eyes, they're not putting up a fight at all. And that is the downside of being such a nice, likable player in Giannis. Like, you never see him get angry and use that anger to motivate a win. You know what I mean?
In fact, here's what he said after going down 0-2. I don't get too high. I don't get too low. After the Miami series, we were up 4-0. I don't know what up 4-0 means. Once you're up 4-0, you win. And coming to this series, I wasn't high. Now that we're down 2-0, I'm not low. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, keep trusting my work, keep trusting my teammates, keep believing in the team, keep believing in the habits we've built all year, and hopefully in Game 3 we get a win. And they did.
Yes.
And I hope for better.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And, I have to say, I'm definitely coming around to the idea that the Nets easily can win. I mean, of course they can win a championship. I didn't think they would because I thought their defense would be bad, but they held the Bucks to 86 points.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a actual regular score in a year where we haven't seen regular scores all year. So that was really impressive. And it just came down to, like I said, I like Chris Middleton. I think he's also another nice guy. He can't create his own shot off the dribble, but he scored in ways that showed off his skill set. So they, if they would have went down 0-3, they would be the Paul George of this episode by far.
Now, I can feel myself rooting against the Nets in irrational ways. I'm just gonna recognize this for myself, because I'm thinking, but don't count out the Sixers. The Sixers can beat the Nets if the Bucks don't do it. I think I'm just kind of like keep propping up somebody else, some other team, and being like, they can beat the Nets.
It's like it's like you're in a gunfight and you're hoping the next gunfighter is able to take out the champion.
Exactly. I love Brooklyn. I lived there for 15 years, so I'd be happy for the Nets, but I don't like the way they did it. I don't like I don't like the super team stuff. I just don't. So let's talk about the Sixers Hawks.
Yes. And this series has been very interesting because, Trae Young is showing the world that he is a worthy superstar. This series is tied 1-1. Game 3 is tonight, as we're doing this show. So that'll be a decisive, it'll give someone the advantage. The Sixers even the series after game 2 with a 118-108 victory. Embiid had 40. Shake Milton, who we love an undersized off-the-bench guard that is questionable when he shoots. When the bench says, "Oh, don't shoot that," and it goes in. Those are the players we love. He had a huge contribution. This series is interesting because the Sixers got punched in the mouth game 1. Trae Young and the Hawks gave them more than they bargained for. They were able to right the ship. I was glad Embiid was playing. We'll see how this series goes. Like, this is that series that anything can happen. Anybody can get hot. This is the wild card series in the East. I know you have the Sixers getting out of this, which, may be a smart call. It's probably that's where the money is, but I'm not counting out the Hawks. I think the Hawks are feisty. I think the Hawks are tougher than people give them credit. I did love, I'll tell you one thing I do love about this series. I love the fans. I love the Sixers fans. Those 76ers home games, they are hyped. I don't know what they're mad about, but they have clearly brought that to the arena, and it is a factor.
Yeah, listen, in Philly, there's anger everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Even when you're getting a cheesesteak. So
yes.
All right, now one thing I want to say is I think one thing I love about the NBA, and I just want to highlight this, and we'll come back to this another time. We should really have a whole conversation about this.
Yes.
I love that teams who are in a playoff position, even if are the Hawks going to win the championship? Very unlikely. But I'll tell you what they do know. They know that if they cut their teeth in this playoff run, they'll be ready for the next one. They know. I just love this about the NBA. They get the experience. They understand that when you're battle tested, you'll be better off next year. It matters year to year.
Well, absolutely. And it's good for recruiting of players to come play in your organization. What I love most about the Hawks this year is, Trae Young was counted out. Let's not forget that, there was a team swap at the draft, Luka for Trae Young. And from almost jump, it was all about Luka, and everyone was saying Atlanta got the worst of the deal. Trae Young will never be on Luka's level. Trae Young is still playing in the playoffs. Luka is home. Okay?
Yep.
And, everyone that counted Trae Young out, he's having an I told you so moment, and I'm here for all of it.
All right, now you just brought up Luka, so this is time for us to talk about one of the latest quotes in relation to Luka. And you know what time it is.
Hey, it's my favorite time of the show, quite frankly. It's time for Say What?
I don't know why it makes me laugh every time so much. All right, so Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn,
unicorn
has been, quote unquote, frustrated at not being looked at as a true co-star to Luka Doncic.
Yes.
Who gets the lion's share of the praise and touches in Dallas. And Mavericks owner Mark Cuban has previously admitted Doncic and Porzingis are not friends off the floor.
Which is interesting. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. And he compared the situation to Dirk Nowitzki's relationship with Jason Terry when they first played together. Okay,
right.
So I'll read the quote, and then let's get into it.
Okay, great.
Mark Cuban says, on the court, they are fine. That's not a good start. I'm just
No. Right.
I mean, coaches coach, and coach kind of runs the show so everything gets worked out on the court. That's not to say there aren't dust-ups, because there are. I'd compare it to Jet and Dirk. If you remember, when we first got Jet, Dirk was not a fan. Dirk did not like him.
Yes.
And we lost in a playoff series because Jet made a mistake against Steve Nash, and that just made it even worse. They weren't best friends at the beginning, but they grew to like each other and grew to be great friends, and that's just part of the process when you've got young kids who are growing up. It took forever before Dirk and Jet did anything off the court together. A long time. Yeah, I mean, KP and Luka get along fine. It's just that they're different people. They like to do different things. Wow. I mean,
that's a lot. That's a lot to answer a question that really doesn't answer the question.
It's true. One thing I love about Mark Cuban, though, is he'll tell it like it is.
Yes.
You know, you don't find a lot of owners who would say, yeah, our two stars don't like each other. That's like, whoa.
Yeah, that's breaking news right there. I watched the Dallas Mavericks because I did go to Game 7 of Clippers Mavericks, and it was incredible. It was so great to be watching an NBA game live. And when you see the unicorn in person, he's an impressive player. Like, he's a little skinny, okay? I'll give you that. But he looks fit. Like, he looks like a machine. He does look like a unicorn. And let me tell you something. That dude can shoot the ball. Luka's special, okay?
Yep.
And I saw an outstanding performance. Like, Luka went for 46, and it was effortless. Like, I got caught up. I was there clearly to rep the Clippers. I'm a Clipper fan, a long-term Clipper fan. This is Game 7. This is a make-or-break moment. I love that Kawhi was focused. But can I tell you something? I was equally impressed watching Luka do his thing. And you could tell between the two of them, they aren't on the same page. You know what I mean? And Porzingis does sort of feel like an afterthought, and he is a player. Like, I think if I were a knockdown shooter like Porzingis, and I was 7 whatever, what is he, 7'6" or 7'3", or he's clearly a legit 7-footer who rocks a nice haircut, by the way.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Juwan Howard in the way that he keeps his fade tight. But you could tell that they are not in sync, and they're not. I don't know. I don't know how long that relationship will last. I have a feeling that there are going to be some wholesale changes because Luka is too good, and he's got to find the right complementary pieces. I think there's a future for Porzingis. I don't know that it's as a Dallas Maverick.
Yeah, and he also might need to have a little Scottie Pippen in him.
Yes.
And suck it up and not get the credit that he deserves quite as much.
Yes.
If he wants to win. Okay, I'm going to call an audible. We got to move some things into who's hot or who's not, because we got to move along to the dunk of the week.
Yes.
I haven't seen it as usual.
No, of course not. And I think this is the highlight of the week. This is the dunk of the week. It involves the Brooklyn Nets, who we have a love-hate relationship with, and a particular player that I think once it becomes relevant, it'll all make sense. So this is the dunk of the week with Blake Griffin. Good things happening, as you can see. They start the offense.
Uh-oh.
Lo and behold, look who's there.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, that's vintage Blake Griffin, too.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Look, I think sometimes when you inject a player into this kind of situation, they remember who they were. I think he kind of forgot who he was for a long time.
Yeah, and that happens. Like, when you were in a situation where you're not getting your due, I mean, I think once he got traded from the Clippers and ended up in Detroit, that probably had to be an ego, an ego ding, I guess you would say. You know what I mean? And that it takes a little bit to work through that. But this dude is playing like if Anthony Davis is street clothes, I think Blake Griffin is new knees.
New knees, I like it. If you say it really fast, it sounds even sillier. New knees.
Yes. Who's got new knees?
Who's got new knees? All right, let's move on. We're gonna start to move through like kind of the blue streak phase. We're gonna move really fast. We're gonna talk about the coaches. There were some coaches that were dismissed. Sully, you talk about it fast.
Okay, great. First of all, coaches that were dismissed. The Orlando Magic have parted ways with their head coach. So that was a bad thing. But also pretty good because, the Orlando Magic aren't doing anything. So Steve Clifford out as the Orlando Magic head coach. And then the head coach of the Pacers, the Indiana Pacers is also out. He only lasted one season and posted a 34-38 record in his lone season in Indiana. It was said that he had lost the locker room. And, he was really strict with the players, which that was also a poor move on his part. You've really got to know your personnel and know how to talk to your personnel. And once they quit on you, there is no coming back from that. So
yeah, and listen, the players quit on him so badly, we haven't even said his name yet.
No, exactly.
Nate Bjorkgren.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if I ever heard Nate Bjorkgren's name mentioned all year, which is yet another sign, another bad sign that you are not making it happen as a coach.
All right, let's move through this blue streak because Portland, Dame Lillard.
Yes.
He talked about his
Dame
preference
Dollar.
for the next head coach being Jason Kidd, but Jason Kidd took himself out of contention.
Yes. They're saying that Jason Kidd may be up for one of these open vacancies. The Boston Celtics need a coach, so that is a place that they're talking about. They're saying Portland's coaching search is expected to include ex-Knicks coach Jess Van Gundy, Mike D'Antoni, who's currently a Nets assistant, Clippers assistant Chauncey Billups, and Juwan Howard, of all people, who I just mentioned, who always keeps a tight fade.
Always. We got to bring Juwan Howard in, and we got to bring the unicorn onto his team.
Yes,
and they'll change their team name to the tight fades.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it'll be a lifelong commitment for some lucky barber.
And listen, they're looking at ex-Knicks coaches. That's what you do. If you want to win, you look at the discards of the Knicks. Is that right? No. At least they're old discards,
Well, you know what, though? But the Knicks are, everybody's favorite team that is out of the playoffs. And the Knicks have a lot of things to be excited for. Like,
and let's talk about
hot, who's not very hot. Tom Thibodeau, the head coach of the New York Knicks, wins the NBA Coach of the Year award. Pretty awesome. Like, he earned the award in 2010. With the Chicago Bulls in his first season as NBA head coach. That was with Derrick Rose. The success of the Knicks this year in the playoffs clearly came down to Derrick Rose again. So there's something about a coach-player, chemistry that pays dividends. The three coaches that were up for the award were Tom Thibodeau, the head coach of the Suns, who I kind of felt should have won the award, Monty Williams. I just think that his story is so compelling, and what he's doing with the Suns is really impressive. And not to mention, this is all post losing his wife. So the reality of that, translating that to motivate players to succeed, I just think that he is the feel-good story of the year. I root for that guy once I learned his story. And finishing third was Quinn Snyder of the Utah Jazz, who looks like a bad guy in a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
He totally does. He totally does. I look at him and it's like, I want to like you, but I don't trust you.
Yes.
That's a great observation.
Yes. What are you putting in the Gatorade? Is it truth serum?
Yeah, they had him mic'd up in the game last night, and I was like, I don't trust you, Quinn.
Yes.
I don't even believe what you're saying right now.
Yes.
All right, we're going to run through. I'm going to do some quick hits, just really quick hits, because I want to get these in before Sneaker Vault.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, Ty Lue in Game 7s is amazing. The Clippers got through, and I think they're kind of worn out from that. Just wanted to say that.
Yes.
This is a totally other thing. We were going to talk about this and say what, and it just has to be mentioned, because Caron Butler is working to end solitary confinement in prisons. He was in solitary confinement himself at one point, and he said the key thing, mentally and spiritually, it takes away a lot, it dehumanizes you. So just a shout out to him.
Right.
This
And
is
we could
this is a
dive
larger
deeper
conversation.
into that. That's a much bigger conversation, but we love when veteran players are giving back to their communities, and he's drawing from a personal experience. When he was incarcerated, he got into a fight. It could have derailed him forever, so now he's doing something to address the problem, and we love that. So, Tough Juice, shout out to you. Keep doing what you're doing, and we will highlight those kind of things all the time on Run It Back.
That's our show. Now I'm going to make really quick hits. Rudy Gobert wins his third NBA Defensive Player of the Year award. We're going to talk more about defense soon. LeBron is changing his number from number 23 to number 6. Anthony Davis is going to stay at number 3.
I hope, can I say this? I hope what they do, like they did in Miami. Remember in Miami where they put their nicknames on the back of their jerseys? Like Ray Allen was Jesus Shuttlesworth. So maybe Anthony Davis will have a street clothes jersey, which would totally sell out.
Yeah, look, even if he put the brow on there, it would be pretty good.
Yes, that would be good too, but street clothes would be unreal.
And especially if he decided to wear it. That's just classic.
Yes.
Happy birthday to the answer. NBA legend Allen Iverson turns 46 years old this week.
Oh, that's incredible. I love Allen Iverson to death. One of my favorite players of all time. I think he would kill people in this era. We talk about Donovan Mitchell being a spectacular tiger cub, bear cub. Allen Iverson was that times 100.
I wonder what he would do with practice these days.
Oh,
okay, now,
yeah.
Daryl Morey fined $75,000 for violating the league's anti-tampering rule when he tweeted about Steph Curry, join him. There was a little question mark there. Pat Riley was fined $25,000 for saying he'd leave the shiny key under the mat for LeBron James if he wanted to return to the Miami Heat. Very interesting stuff. So these were just things we had to note. Now let's get to. I want to spend more time on all this. We love to soak it all up, but we got to have some time for Sneaker Vault. Here we are.
All right.
Let's see what you got.
Sneaker Vault. Here it is, guys. I'm going to go with a sneaker this week that is a Nike SB, right? Now, this is an AF2, which is an Air Force 2, which is the secondary model of Air Force 1s. This is a Supreme exclusive. Yes! In the teal colorway. What I love about these is, as you can see, never been worn. I need to break these out. I was waiting for post-pandemic to rock these, because this is not a shoe that you rock during a pandemic. They say world famous on the back, which is a Supreme logo. I love these. These are just loud enough to say, oh, hey, Suli's here, and he's got on a fresh pair of sneaks. So the Supreme Air Force 2 teal-colored low, these are just awesome. This is a sneaker vault that you're like, if Supreme stuff is so hard to get. If you're able to get anything Supreme, consider yourself lucky.
Those are my favorite shoes you've shown so far.
Really?
Yeah, I look at those
I've shown
and I'm like,
some
I
real
want those.
heat up until this
No,
point.
you have.
Some
You have.
player worns and all of that. But this is just a shoe where you're like, okay, that guy likes sneakers.
Yeah, I think I just have something for teal. I don't know. I see that and I'm just like, oh man, I want to wear this. Okay, we're going to get to final thoughts now. So we did talk about Rudy Gobert winning NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Ben Simmons thinks he should be Defensive Player of the Year. He said, I'm one of those guys who can guard 1 through 5.
Yes.
So, look, he says, obviously, it's a lot of respect for Rudy. I know what he's capable of. I know he's great down there in the paint, but he's not guarding everybody. And
right.
That's just what it is. He guarded me in Utah, and I had 42. And apparently, I'm not a scorer, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I love it.
A little bit of say what in there.
I'm here for all the shades. Say what?
Yes, we got it twice. I love it.
Hey, you know what, though? Taking nothing away from Rudy Gobert in that Clippers game where they got a decisive win late in the game, Rudy Gobert was the one that blocked the shot. So that was an on-ball defensive scheme. He wasn't a help-side defender. So I think he showed the world that, yeah, I can play defense guarding the basket, but I can also stop a perimeter shooter too if need be. So I have no problem with that. And I do think Ben Simmons had a hell of a year defensively. I think he finished second. There are those years where it could go either way. It could have went in his favor. I'm not mad that Rudy Gobert won his third Defensive Player of the Year. He joined elite company. It was all good. I have no problems with Ben Simmons holding a grudge. Maybe it'll come out in these playoff games moving forward.
And I love to see a guy who wants to show off his defense.
Yes.
One thing we'll say is, in this modern NBA, you've got you've got the big players shooting threes. You've got scores in the 120s and 130s, totally commonplace. It's reminding me of the early 80s when there would just be these huge scores all the time.
Yes.
But don't let that fool you. There's still some really good defense going on. There's technical defense going on. If you're watching the games, you see it. I watched the Jazz last night. There was a lot of good defense on both sides of the ball.
Sure. And there's key players that you can spotlight in these series that will make big defensive presences. Don't let the 147, 142 scores that you've seen all this year fool you. There are some great defenders.
Yeah, but I mean, it really is true. There's this question of can defense win championships, and I'm really fascinated to see the Jazz. I believe in them. I think I've believed in them all year.
They're
I believe in them even more
balanced team. They're a balanced team. Like, I just feel like Joe Ingles is the second primary scoring option for long-range threes. So they've got a very balanced squad. They're going to be a problem moving forward.
And listen, they have a Bond villain as their coach.
They do.
Now, as long as he doesn't tell what his plan is in advance and then walk away, I think they'll be fine.
I want to find out what kind of car he drives, because if he doesn't drive an Aston Martin, there's something wrong with him.
There is something. Well, we know there's something wrong with him. He's a Bond villain. All right, I just want to say, I think the Jazz, I think the Suns, I think they can win it all, but I also know there's some part of me that's like, please, someone else win it all, not the Nets. So I'll just admit that.
Yes.
Sully, it's been great talking with you about NBA. I love it. We sink our teeth into it. We love it.
Well, this is the juicy time of the year. Like, this is when a chance where we really get to go in depth on the games, because there's less games. Like, we're getting down to the crunch. Like, when these series start to, shape themselves out, we're going to be in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. And that's why, guys, you need, and girls, everyone, whatever gender you identify with, you've got to come back to run it back. We will be here next week breaking down all good things basketball. I'm Suli McCullough. That's my co-host, Dan Ratner. We'll see you next week.